Today's a big day for us. Data's coming in from the 2024 season. A lot of things that we're excited about here with Lygos. So we're going to get right into her. Nick Spoden, myself here, and what are we here with Lygos to do? Present better materials to be able to provide better products. Let's kick her off here. Got a full slate for y'all. So before we get into that, let's do a few introductions. We're going to do the Lygos team here, specifically out the gates. Once again, Nick Spoden, Senior Director of Agronomy here at Lygos. I've been with the company now over a year. It's been a thrill, been a ride, seeing some of the wins that we've had over the last season, and now that our team is growing, boy, we're loaded and we're ready to support. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce also my colleague Tyler Painter. He's our sales manager, originally from West Texas, currently resides in Northeast Texas, so it's Texas through and through. Received his master's in crop science from Texas Tech, let me get that right, Texas Tech University in cotton physiology. He has over 20 years of experience from row crop research, protection, seed sales, agronomy, and consulting work. The guy knows a ton, so massive asset for us, especially in the cotton side. Really excited to have Tyler part of the team. Next up, we've got Katie Patterson. Katie Patterson is our regional sales manager out of Kansas, where her and her family have a diversified farming operation that also includes cattle. Her entire life has been around agriculture, and that's a passion that I think rubs off on us all when you get to talk to her and get to know her a little bit more. She as well carries her over 20 years of experience in ag, ranging from sales, communication, policy, as well as, again, what's most important to her, and that's working with producers to be able to provide and improve their production, as well as water management practices. And rounding out the team, we've got Niles McGuire out of Ohio. Really excited to have Niles joining us here now. He's pretty much the vet on the team, 3 months in or so. Regional sales manager again for Eastern Midwest for us, based out of Southwest Ohio. Well into 10 years of experience right now in ag, and you could obviously say that's a humble stance of him. I feel like ag's been a part of his life since he's been a little boy too. So ranging from retail to biostimulant, the guy's seen a ton, wealth of knowledge. He also owns again and operates his own diversified operation with row crops, forage, and cattle as well. Total acre, you guys are coming. Right now, I'm going to hand this off to my colleague here, Katie, who's going to kick us off a little bit more onto the Lygos Soltellus side, and then we'll be real excited to talk about what we saw with Total Acre shortly.
That's right. Thank you, Nick. And just so excited to be a part of this team and to be here with you all today. So just a few things that I want to add about our company. Lygos began in 2011. We have a true research and development focus, and we want to create those high-performing bio-inspired solutions for a more sustainable future. And we really just want to be your go-to partner as a specialty company. And we're not only just in ag, but we're also in other sectors like water treatment and home and personal care. Next. So we want to focus on the trial data for you, but I want to hit a few high points about Soltellus and how it works. So we did have, this is our second of the three-part series for our webinars. If you missed our first one, do not worry. We really dug deep into Soltellus and how it works, but we have a recording of it, and you can watch it on our YouTube channel or at lygos.com. Okay, so just a few reminders of how it works and what it is. So Soltellus is a chelating or a binding biodegradable polymer. It's built on a molecule called aspartic acid, an amino acid. It's very multifunctional, and it interacts with the entire soil and plant complex in multiple ways, from increasing the root growth and branching, as well as increasing NPK cycling, and not only just the abundance of one or two microbial species, but all of them. And it increases your organic matter, and it improves your water infiltration and absorption, which, as we know, this really helps to lead into mitigating drought and environmental stressors. Our molecule is negatively charged, so it binds to anything that's positive. It has a CEC of 100, so it keeps those nutrients available instead of being tied up in the soil like we often see. And just want to note that it is a food source for your plants for up to 90 days. Next. All right, we're going to get right into the trial data. It's really exciting what's coming in, and we will continue to have more come from this past season. I'm going to start sharing with what we saw in our own family farm, and we're here in Northeast Kansas, and we trialed it on our soybeans this year. And it went on at V3 with a foliar application. You could see it was evident in the field where it was compared to the control. And we averaged at least 2 more pods per plant. And once it was scaled, it held true with an average increase of 3.5 bushel per acre. And our average ROI was 6.9 or 6.79. Sorry. I do want to, a fun little note about this is that our recommended application rate is 2 quarts per acre. This was at 1 quart per acre. So I'm pretty sure that it's safe to say that we will definitely be having Soltellus on our farm this next season and the rest to come. Next. As it was mentioned, a lot of my background is based on water, and my passion for that and helping producers throughout the Ogallala actually with their depleting water supply. So but something else that's really exciting about Soltellus is it's very multifunctional, with also the fact that it helps make the most of your soil's moisture in your irrigation system, and it supports moisture retention and that nutrient uptake, while also cleaning the buildup from your irrigation system and the impacts that you might see from hard water, and it helps to improve your water quality. And it's designed to work with any of your system, whether pivot or drip. It's suitable for any operation of size. And so in a summary, you can find that Soltellus will mitigate your scaling and improve your water quality as well as your ROI. Next. All right, I am looking forward to turning it over to Tyler Painter, and you can hear his passion and knowledge in many things, but especially in cotton. And I appreciate that he's shared a lot and taught me a lot about cotton as well too. Tyler?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Katie. Yeah, let me dive right in so I can get through this. Very exciting stuff. We're going to start down here in South Texas, Raymondsville. We're going to end up in Kansas with a stop along the way in Louisiana. I labeled the positions. Here we go. As you can see, the position 1, 2, we're going to compare the first picture going left to right. Stay inside the picture when I compare these. So as you can tell, the control 1 first positions and the Soltellus first position, Soltellus pushed through and held and maintained and held on to the fruit. As we go into the second position, Soltellus produced and quite a bit more than the check. As we go to this middle picture, kind of the same story with the first position fill out with the bowl set and retention. The second position, the control was pretty much obsolete with Soltellus holding on a little bit there. This last picture, it has the same concept going into it with the second position and a little bit around the third. The thing to take away from this was a big win for Soltellus because not long after application was their last rain. So once we got to here where we're into defoliation and looking into picking this, there was no rainfall. Next slide. Okay, now we're going to go over here to Louisiana. Where I highlighted some of these is just to show again the bowl set, and at this point it is retaining it up to we're almost to the 19th to 20 node on the first position with Soltellus. On the control, it kind of started maturing out around the 18th node. So that'll transition to where the fruit and the energy is going to be spent on the second position with Soltellus, having producing as much fruit and setting it as the first position on the control. And then it did have some third and fourth position fruit retention, and it died out on the control at pretty much the second position fruit, a little bit of third. It was a direct application with Directs. Okay, here we're up in Kansas. This was really fun because it was an irrigation pivot irrigation application. So we have the first picture on the left was an in-season um, bowl mapping. We just wanted to get a quick look at it, and I had Katie and Clint run by there and do it for me. So the first position filled out well with Soltellus, as so did the control. Then we get to the second position where Satella still held on into the third and some fourth. The control, as you can see, it kind of died out the second position with a very little bit of fruit sitting over there on the third. The second picture here, it is swapped a little bit. Satellus, the fourth and fifth, it was putting on a little bit of fruit. I wouldn't, or the third and fourth, sorry, I wouldn't count that as much. But where we did gain our first and second through all of these, this was a pivot applied, but the pivot was shut off and was so we had a 15% check. Still very, very good fruit retention and very happy with it. Very consistent. Next slide. And that kind of goes into, as we saw with the cotton, with the applications being such a wide range and in different environments, it kind of shows what we were seeing here in Mississippi with these corn trials. The top control and Satellus, this is dry land, the bottom's irrigated. The biggest difference as soon as you walked in the field was the firing. There wasn't even you couldn't deny it. The pitcher does it no justice. So that late season really stretching and sucking the plant for nitrogen. The Satellus, it just wasn't there. It was wanting to go longer. So I think when we back it up with maybe an in furrow, I'd like to see moving on. But yeah, 15 bushel increase on that's very exciting to see. Just very, very consistent. This is just the field maps and a little bit more data to back that up. If you want to look more at these, feel free to reach out. I'm going to pass it over to Niles. Thank you.
Mute. And Niles?
Yep. Hey, sorry about that. Thanks, Tyler, for passing it on. And I was the one who forgot to unmute myself that time. Anyway, yes, it was great stuff that we saw. Two really wide variety of yield environments and flexibility and application. So one of the things that we've been seeing, one of the exciting things that we've been seeing in plant tissue tests is the ability to retain nitrogen in our tissue studies when we reduce nitrogen, and our ability to drive nitrogen, drive phosphorus and potassium into that plant leaf. So this is just a quick overview. The green line was a control of 209 pounds of nitrogen applied. The orange line was also 209 pounds nitrogen with Soltellus in the program. And then the blue line is a reduced of 50 pounds of nitrogen on that field. So one of the things to point out on that nitrogen portion of our plant tissue is we were able to retain that nitrogen in that leaf tissue sample when we were 50 pounds less, and we were able to drive 18% more when Soltellus was just saying it added into the standard practice. Just some really cool things to highlight here that we've been seeing in some of our in-season studies in helping really drive phosphorus and potassium into that plant as well. So let's go ahead and click to the next one. One of the things that we really wanted to highlight was our flexibility of application with consistent results. So we just saw V4 streamed with a 15 bushel increase and then a V8 wide drop with an 8 bushel increase. This is actually a 5-state trial coated MAP fertilizer up front in the spring with a 6.2 bushel per acre average across all 5 of those states. So on today's economic side, it's a 2.6 ROI, return on investment. So yeah, and this was treated dry fertilizer. Next slide, please. Staying on the trend or on the of early application. This was in furrow. So in furrow, the whole field had nitrogen fixing biological, and then we had checks with Soltellus, and this was an amazing five field trial data set in Minnesota. 10.6 bushel the acre. This was different fields, not 5 replications within one field. So this is actual whole field data. 10.6 bushel the acre average across their farm, with a 4.5 times return on investment. Impressive results. We're really excited to see how we can have a really good synergism with biology and maybe continuing to boost that as well. So next slide. This is another 2x2 one. This is in the Beck's PFR study. So you can find this on page 104 of their 2024 Beck's PFR book. So we had an average of 4.5, which was a little less than what we had been seeing, but really wanted to show the consistency and show off that consistency and how we've been, consistent return on investment. Out of 5 states that they had us on the Beck's PFR book, we were a positive ROI on 5 out of 5 that ranged between $5.24 an acre all the way up to $37 an acre return on investment. One of the highlights being Indiana, where we had a 9.6 bushel an acre increase, which is extremely impressive. Our average ROI on that was 2.3. So still a little over doubling the money, which is exactly what we want to see. Next slide, please. And this is the slide we've all kind of been waiting for. What was the Soltellus performance across everything, right? So 13 states, the Soltellus applied. This is anything from in furrow through a V12 wide drop and everything in between, along with dry fertilizer on corn. So extremely wide variety of application, but yet that consistent result. And we've been hanging around 10.1 bushel the acre advantage with a 4.2 return on investment in today's economics. That assumes $10 an acre and $4.20 per bushel on selling price. We also have had some really good silage data coming back between 3 and 4 tons, right around that 3.5 ton an acre on silage. So extremely excited to keep digging into that more as well. Next slide. And it is my pleasure to introduce you guys to the Total Acre organization. This is a third-party organization that's been doing some trialing from us. Chad, Brian, I'll let you guys take it from there.
Geez, Niles, you had to dig way deep into the archive to find me in a tie, brother. I don't know where you found that. Photoshop, maybe?
Send me an updated picture, and I'll get it in there next time.
I love it. Thanks for the introduction, Niles. I might just take it, Brian, if it's okay, I might just jump in and talk a little bit about Total Acre and what we did with the group, and then bring you into the.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. So for those that don't know who Total Acre is, we are a membership group that works with growers across the United States. Brian and I specifically work with those growers to take in companies and work with companies like Lygos to be able to say, hey, what products do you want to work with? We prove out solutions to really, our term is unlocking your farm's potential. It's kind of our theme. It's not every product works every time, but how do we decipher when it works, where does it work best? And if it doesn't work, how do we be able to better understand where it could work better? And so we're honored to be able to work with Lygos. And I think that one of the things that we look at is, listen, not every farm's built the same way. Not every farmer produces corn the same way, right? So how do we look at each farm individually, put something across, multiple acres and understand that, and then take it into a system that can digest that. So I think that's 2 things that I would say is unique about what Total Acre is. It's and you'll hear Brian talk about what we've done with Lygos from a systematic approach to farming. So the back end side of this is a YMS technology that'll digest and understand where that worked, how it worked, and what we have to adjust to make things better. Been around since 2017, roughly 1,000 members with our current and I would call alumni program that have went through our program. The biggest thing for me working with Lygos is, working with people that are present, right? They show up. And Brian, maybe we'll talk about this too with our growers. The farms that we work with are, I call it real field. So these are not just trials and like little blocks. And you referenced Beck's PFR, which is awesome. But you're looking at real farmers, just like the farmers that are sitting on the call today, real farm, real trials. And then we can actually compare and contrast that with our analytics within the software. So if you look at how do we benchmark that against other, I won't call it polyaspartic acids or some of the other things that are out in the marketplace, but how do we benchmark it against other tools? And then how do we better understand the data that says this is how it's working and where it's working best? So that being said, I'll introduce Brian Maddox, who's the one of the founding members of Total Acre and runs the trial department.
Good afternoon. First thing I want to do, Nick, I want to congratulate you and the Lygos team. When we first met, it was an after-hours event at the Commodity Classic, and I was out with another customer, and you were there, and your team was much smaller than what you are now. So obviously, you guys are doing some things right. So congratulations there. And so, as Chad stated, I'm Brian Maddox. One of my roles with Total Acre, I'm the product trials director. And I actually grew up on a farm, so I always tell people that I know enough about farming to be dangerous. But my background is I spent 32 years in auto industry, and I worked in many different areas, manufacturing. I was supply chain management, also was an industrial engineer for many years, and I spent the last part of my few years my career as a manager in North American quality. And so the thing that I try to put in the product trials process is managing things from data, having standardized processes, and having good measurements to get good outputs to make good business decisions. So we actually this year we placed just short of 340 trials with 20 different companies in 23 different states and 2 Canadian provinces. So we have a pretty big expanse of where we're putting our trials at. And of course, Lygos is one of the companies doing work with this year. And I always state that we're not a product trials organization. What our purpose is, we want to execute an unbiased trialing approach and also a standardized approach. And we want to find prove out products that people say that perform, but we also want to find the new shiny toys in the toy box and new experimental products. We're about trying to get results. And Chad was talking about placement of products, and a lot of people talk. I like to talk about situational farming. A lot of people talk to 4 R's, but I talk to 5 R's. And the additional R is the right location. If the right location, whether it be soil pH, soil chemistry parameters, organic matter, it could be a lot of different things. Nothing works everywhere, and therefore, the right location, the right product, the right amount, the right timing, and then also the right application method. And so that's where Soltellus, I think, is talk about here a little bit. First year trialing with them, we did some corn plots with them this year, and we also have in progress, which we'll talk about briefly. They gave us opportunity to do some plots also in winter wheat, then also winter rye and barley, and seeing some very exciting things there too. So the thing that I really am intrigued with is not only the yield results, which I'll share, but also seeing some very, very good visuals that really align that some of these results are not a fluke. And the first result here is Austin Blair. He's one of our members in Rockwell City, Iowa. Nick actually went and visited his plot, and so he's seen that first hand. The previous crop was soybeans, and we actually, the way the protocol was designed, how we did it in Total Acre, we did a application at end furrow, and then we were supposed to do it also with nitrogen application between V3 to V6 timing. But this here, when Austin had to make that application, he unfortunately had about 7 inches of rain in a week. So I'd call Nick. It's like, hey, we can't apply this. Therefore, he gave us clearance to push this out, and therefore he applied it at V12, and which was out of the scope of the original trial parameters. However, this turned out to be a very effective. His standard in practice was he applied just over 213 elemental pounds of N. And then also we had a location where we reduced N, which was just short of 172 elemental pounds of N. And that nitrogen reduction application was made on July 8th. And I think that cornfield was planted right around the 1st of May. And in the middle of the slide here, we had 3 plots. We had one plot which would have been the control, which would have been 213 pounds of N and grower standard practice. And then we had the Soltellus where 213 pounds of N plus Soltellus with the 2 applications. And that plot actually had a yield response of 15.44 bushel. But the interesting thing was where he actually had it at stacked it with the only 172 pounds of N, he actually had a 17.35 bushel bump. And the thing is, Chad and I, when we see all kinds of data, and when I see these kind of results, I like to do my due diligence before I report it because I don't want to get embarrassed. I mean, when you're working with Randy Dowdy and David Hula, they will ask those very in-depth questions, and so we make sure that we've got all of our I's dotted, our T's crossed before we report anything. And therefore, the visuals and other things that we checked, these are legitimate results. So next slide, please.
Hey, Brian, as we're transitioning to slides, I just want to throw this out there too for those that are listening in, trying to figure out like, okay, you picked a grower in Minnesota. I think one thing that's interesting is when we sat down and talked to Spoden and Niles about this, and Tyler and Katie, it was surprising to me to see the wide variety of application, right? So from in-furrow all the way down to what we've just started to get back some results from friends of mine with the fall residue management piece. So Nick was challenged to say, how do we stay focused? Where do we think we want to be in location with growers, and then what do we want to highlight? So Painter, I know you're down in Texas working in cotton. It is amazing to me to see that. So first off, is just know that Lygos was able to choose the locations, but out of that, there's 125, 140 growers that Brian basically trains and basically endorses as total acre trial partner collaborators. Here's your group. You get to choose from that group in proximity, and just know that like. Nick, I'm telling you right now, it was hard, I know, to be able to kind of narrow that down. But again, Brian, I think this was something you did a really good job of finding the right folks to work with. But that was a great example of you can't control Mother Nature, right? So all that rain, Nick and I were talking early, it's a throwaway. And come to find out, it was something that actually performed. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's no, thanks for the additional insight, Chad. The other thing that this product that really has my attention is especially with lower commodity prices. Therefore, margins are going to be tighter. And so what other avenues can we do, whether than just standard farm agricultural practices, can we do to try to find that edge just to have that competitive advantage within farming? And one of the things we also appreciate too, we want to work with companies that are transparent. And therefore Nick is being transparent on this slide here because like I stated, things do not work all the time. And therefore this plot here was a different scenario also in Iowa, which they had lots of rain. As I stated, this plot actually in Aurora, Iowa, they had a tremendous amount of rain right before planting. Then they also had a bunch of rain there in the middle part of June. And this was a corn after corn. And people that know the members, our elite growers and total acre organization, they have a lot of their NUEs and everything tight. They have them very tight as they are already. And so when companies say, hey, we can reduce nitrogen, a lot of them are skeptical because a lot of companies where they get their advantage is people are already over applying nitrogen already. And so it's just a shell game. But this here is you're going after individuals who already know how to manage their operations as it is. But this plot here, same concept as the all of you on the call are aware that it takes more nitrogen to do corn after corn, just to a different animal. And you can see here on this plot, the nitrogen standard practice was 238 pounds. He was targeting a 250 bushel yield goal. And then he reduced just short of 40 elemental pounds on the reduced nitrogen location. And that application was made on June the 18th, where you looked at the actually, Nick was at Mike's plot. I actually visited in person. I thought the visuals and everything when we went to that plot first part of August, that looked really good. And but then when we saw the reduced nitrogen location, it was a 28 bushel loss. And I think what probably happened in hindsight is that he already had tight NUEs already for corn after corn, and then all the rain probably leached nitrogen out of the soil. So that's what my educated guess is about that loss there. However, to find a bright spot out of it is this is something with a 10.93 bushel response that he could add to his grower standard practice. I mean, that ROI is very well. And if Brian Maddox is farming that farm, I'm doing that every day, all the time moving forward. So next slide, please. So here are a few other things that we try to do is so not only when we have a very big win do I want to dig into it, but also when there is a loss, I really dig into it because I hate to make that phone call. And but some of these things we're trying to figure out new ways to just improve our operation and each individual operation. And the slide on the left-hand side is a satellite imagery. And what this is NDVI green, and what the purpose of that image is to measure plant health and chlorophyll markers. And you could see here on the there is on the left in the middle, and then on the right hand side, that is where the standard nitrogen control is. And that marker is 0.511. And then you go to the dark blue here, that would be the reduced nitrogen. And this is a month after the reduction occurred. And you can see that it is off of what the grower standard plus Soltellus is, and so it's like already negative 1.4%. And so it's telling me that there just was not, he probably had his NUEs already too tight, corn after corn, and probably the nitrogen leaching out is what my educated guess is. And then you go to the right here, this imagery on September 17th. The purpose of this is, especially products like the Soltellus product, is I'm measuring stay green capability and trying to extend that crop further to try to, especially during grain fill, trying to add additional test weight, reduce the kernel weight per thousand, etc. And so this was taken 19 days before harvest, and you could see that where the standard N plus Soltellus, it is 0.405, which is almost 7% better than the control and the grower standard. So it obviously stayed more green in that scenario. And then you could see here that where you reduce the N to the control, it was about negative 4%. So therefore, I think it's just a combination of things as I stated. However, I think with a lot of people in total acre, they're always willing to try to kick the tires, see if they could do something to try to get that edge. I mean, David Hula has told me that one of his sayings is, if you haven't killed a field of corn, you're not farming. So that's just an example of how far some of these individuals do just try to find that next thing. So one thing is, it looks a little discouraging on the one side. However, on the other side, very, very lots of promise for his continued corn after corn operation. So next thing is, I was talking about some of the plots that we planted this fall. And
Can I jump in there real quick, Brian, give you a little
sure,
bit.
go ahead.
I think something that's interesting is if you look at and this, you're talking Aurora, Iowa, so you look in Des Moines, south of Des Moines, basically. If I talk abiotic stress, I'm a big stress guy, right? So what we have early? Tons of rain, like you talked about, Brian. Would we have late? Tons of heat. And you look at what that corn crop went through to be able to finish the season. Now, I'm not saying it's all Lygos, I'm not saying it's all Soltellus, but if you look at that data, and if you can be more resilient, Katie, we talk about this often, but if you can have a more resilient plant, something's happening there to make that crop finish where in that tough scenario, we're bringing on pest and disease, right? Because of the fact we can't control some of that stress. But where we were able to hold on, we were able to hold on longer is the way I would summarize that, Brian.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and that's the thing. I really these two images here really just back up the yield results in my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, it's so this is the we have winter wheat and rye trials out this year. The root digs here are for actually rye, and this individual's from Wisconsin. And he sent this to me, and he said, Brian, there's something here. And this guy is very detail oriented, and he's just he just calls it how it is. And therefore he felt the initiative that not only do the root digs, which are part of the trial protocol, but he also was just talking about just how there's wider tillering. But he also went to the point to measure biomass because this so got his attention. And as the final bullet point states here, 0.2 ounces of more biomass for 10 plants. And Niles and Nick did the math is with a 1 million plant population per acre, that could be 1,250 more pounds of biomass across the entire acre plot. So that is really a big deal. And I mean, that's the thing we talk about leaves being solar panels, and this here is executing that concept. So over to the right, we have just a graph or the estimated increased pounds of foliage. And then the total acre corn averages, standard practice is 8.9 bushel an acre. We're still got another plot or two that's still in progress, and we don't have those results compiled yet, but that's where we're at this time. I just want to thank Lygos for giving us opportunity to collaborate, and just excited to see where the future takes us, and look forward to working with you guys at the upcoming grower clinic next month in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is I'm gonna put a little cherry on top of that. To me is, seeing what we've seen, and you guys know we touch a lot of different growers across the U.S. When we see all these different results, one of the things that gets me excited, Spoden, that I always talk about the one thing, right? But watching what you're doing with biology is pretty cool. I know some fall residue stuff's going to look really interesting this fall. But I think the one thing that I'm excited about, and I'm sure you'll talk more the dumb numbers on the sales side of things, but we're excited to work with you again. Because you talk about, can you do it 1 year? Now that consistency, and how do we do that year over year? And I think that's what we're a big part of in Total Acre. But easy to remember, 10 bushel average across the country at a farm gate of $10, right? Keep that rolling, guys.
Appreciate that very much, Chad. Yeah, and Brian, same to you. Been an absolute pleasure working with you guys. There's a reason that you guys set the standard as far as groups that people are trying to engage with. So clearly the trial data, everything, communication, can't thank y'all enough. And looking forward to doing it again here as we hit year 2 together. So yeah, wrapping things up a little bit. We do have we went a little bit over what we were hoping to go, to have a little minutes extra on the side for some Q&A. Would love to still open that up to the group. Anybody who's still there, we've got a couple I know that we saw come in along the way too that I'll address here. So I'm just going to give you a minute to finish typing a couple of those up. Also wanted to make sure that we left this on the screen. Again, this is the team here at Lygos. I can't thank the Total Acre Group enough for all the effort and time that they spent in putting this together. If you need any help, if we can help you with your next season plans, reach out to us. We're here all across the U.S. and looking forward to support you. Well, a couple of quick questions. Looks like we'll just jump straight off the bat. Niles, it sounds like you're the youngest one in the group here as far as exposure to Soltellus. But being a grower yourself, what's something that you are most excited about with what you're seeing here with some of the trial and information that you've been seeing come in?
One of the things that I'm most excited about when I'm seeing, when I've been seeing this trial data come in, and how the flexibility is probably just the flexibility of application. Um, if my plans change at the beginning of the season, and something happens, that my in-furrow pump goes out, and I don't have time to replace it because we're just planting corn, and rain's coming, so we're just going to keep planting. And I have to make a change on the fly. This is a product that can fit in other places, plug and play within the system really, really well. That, and knowing that the consistency of that result as we mess with that flexibility is huge. And then just how it works in generally, the chelation up front, chelating my nutrients, helping get those nutrients more available to my crop, the ones that are bound in the soil and in my fertilizer, within that slow release and that 30, that breakdown of the polymer side, to then kind of slowly feed those microbes as well through, instead of just a really quick feeding or a quick flash of that activity. We can kind of get that season long, feeding through that. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about as we use this product more.
Love it. Love hearing that. And that kind of segues, some flexibility and application and everything, right? A lot of row crops we talked about today. Just getting started here with the Lygos team. So we are looking at, I know we had a few guys reached out about almonds, trees, some of the specialty crops. Stay tuned. That's what we're looking at here for you too, really trying to open things up, get a better understanding. We do have a lot of good historical data around some of those crops, but there's a lot for us to learn, and we'd love to learn with you. Another question we had coming in here, and this one's going to be geared for the Total Acre group. How do they reach out to you guys to get in touch with you guys if they want to become a part of you guys' group?
Yeah, go and answer that one.
Sure.
Since you're the marketing director.
Yeah, if you go to totalacre.com and just go to the top right-hand side as interest list, contact us. My contact information is there. I'd gladly have a conversation and pick up the phone and have the face-to-face stuff's usually best, but if we can do it over the phone, we'd gladly do that.
There you go. Well, and hey, I'm going to remind y'all too, they've got a big gathering coming up here in January. I know we're excited to be there in Orlando. So now would be a great opportunity to join that group. You know what, you guys, we're going to cut it here, 45 minutes in. Appreciate everybody's time
Nick,
here.
we do have 7 questions. I do believe that we would like to address at least a couple of them from the Q&A
Awesome.
that were asked earlier. So I'm going to quickly throw these out. Number 1 was from Allison. What is a normal application rate?
Very good, Sierra. Yeah, so half gallon is our recommended application rate, 2 quarts per acre.
And then follow up from that, have you looked at the soil microbiome with the addition of Soltellus and any changes to that population and or numbers?
Great question. We've actually done a lot of work with that. Specifically, I've got some really good details that came in from some trials we ran with biome makers as well. Abundance growing, we see a significant increase in your biodiversity from a bacterial fungi standpoint. So yeah, that's why we want to again be thought of as the hub. We get the activity started within the biome, and in doing so, we see the interaction of the plant that's reaching down to grab the nutrients that we're holding or feeding as that amino acid as well.
Hey, Nick, one thing there too, just not to take more time, but I think it's an interesting question because we've seen a lot of colonization of our fall residues trials that we're working with, and we're excited to see the results back from that. I know Niles had set up quite a few different pieces with Brian on that. So yeah, we've seen some immediate colonization, stuff that's been applied in November. Already starting to see some results there.
And that is great input too for us, Chad. And that's just like we've been talking about with the trials and having that flexible window. We threw everything we could kitchen sink at this thing. So yeah, the fall side is absolutely going to be coming too. We're learning a little bit more to see how that breakdown is actually going, but very promising right now. So a lot of ways that Soltellus can impact your operation.
Great. Another great question. How will the product be sold? Is it direct ship or other methods? And how can I go about buying it?
Yeah, another good question. We are actually in the process right now of putting up our where to buy dealer partner locator on our website. So that we're hoping to have up here by the end of the month. In the meantime, you can reach out to our team here. We will gladly guide you to our distribution partners that are local to your area. Right now, we've got quite a few out there that are eager and ready to support.
Great. And kind of a follow-up to that, what is the shelf life of the product? Will it still be available and useful next season if one buys too much without any reduction of efficacy?
Yeah, so it is a 2-year shelf life. We are ultimately here to support the growers. That's what we're built on. So work with us, talk to us. Communication is key, and we will do our best to make it right in any situation that we need to. Absolutely.
Great. Follow up on that, is the product a liquid or a solid?
It is a liquid. Beauty in this as well, compatibility, dry and liquid. A lot of flexibility again, in not only how it fits that operation, but then if we're looking at being blended, we've shown compatibility there where it's an easy mix.
Great. Final two questions. What is the product derived from? And then do you guys have any experience with almond crops?
Very good question. Yes, so almond crops as well as some of the other specialties, we have a lot of good historical data on it. We are just starting to get some specific data. Would love to work with you a little bit more. Our base, we are a polyaspartate. So again, amino acid is really the foundation for us, as Niles broke it down. The way that we like to be thought of is chelating strong initially with our strong CEC, holding those nutrients. As we're degrading, now we're leaving that amino acid behind for the consumption to be able to continue to do the legwork within that biome.
Great. Looks like there's a couple more coming in. Sorry about that. Do you guys partner with anyone in vegetables and specialties? And are there any interest in trialing on any other planter treatment systems?
Absolutely, great questions. Yes, we are open to both. So again, we saw a lot of row crops here today. In the last season, we had about 9 total crops that we did run trials on. We're absolutely going to expand that more heading into 25. Greenhouse, specialty, turf. There's a lot of very good potential, and there is a lot of good data supporting these crops as well that we have. So excited to expand on them. If you're interested in partnering, again, please do reach out, and we'd love to hear from you.
Great. That is all of the questions. Thank you for taking the time to do that.
Good call, Sierra. Thank you so much for jumping in on that. Well, you guys, everybody who made it, hey, thank you again so much. Again, round 2 here. Any questions also, if we can help you guide you to our partners here, Brian and Chad with the Total Acre Group, please don't hesitate. Can't thank them enough for a great season. Looking forward to doing it again. Wish you all happy holidays and best of luck next year. Appreciate it.